We're just vibing, so vibe with us. All right. So for those who may not know me, my name is Seneca Kmir Alma, and I have spent majority of my life in federal and state prison. And this, what I am doing right now, was my prison bucket list, if you will. One of the things I really wanted to accomplish, and I'm actually doing almost everything that I said I was going to do whenever I came home. So again, thank you for this opportunity. It means so much more than just me sitting here speaking to you right now. But I made a promise to myself that whenever I came home and spoke and did these types of things, that I would not only speak about the physical incarceration, but we will also talk about the internal incarceration as well. Mental health, depression, anxiety, insecurity, things that we all feel as human beings. So with that being said, just momentarily, I just want to speak healing. I want to speak life, light, compassion, self-love, into not only this space, into not only your individual lives, but into your households, your workplace, generations to come, and even enemies and strangers. Who would have ever thought? Because we truly are all connected. And know that I say these things not as something to do, but sincerely as a person to become. And I hope that you can receive and feel that spirit. So again, thank you. We're going to go into some storytelling now. Nice and easy. And the only thing we're going to do today is just storytell to music. We're going to let the harmony come in just a little bit. Monty G, whenever you're ready. Let them feel that vibe just for a second. That should feel kind of good. This is a lifestyle. This may seem like a performance, but this is a lifestyle. And everything has a vibration, everything has a feel. Have you ever wondered what it felt like to hear a judge say you've been sentenced to 25 years in prison? Well, I'm gonna tell you, it feels just like a judge saying you've been sentenced to 25 years in prison. And this was my reality, very ironically, at the age of about 25. Now, truth be told, I truly was not a bad kid. 14, 15, I made good grades, I played football, I was a quarterback, I was an athlete, but as life has it, I started making some bad decisions, hanging around some different type of individuals, didn't really have a whole lot of money coming up, and then this identity crisis began to come into effect. This thing plagues so many young men and women today. And at about the age 17, I ran across an individual that somewhat recruited me. I went out of town and I came back to Dallas with $1,500. I gave $750 to my mom and I kept $750, and I told myself I'll never be broke again. Well, at the age of 19, I found myself in federal prison. I did 3 years, hadn't acquired any major job skills or anything like that, and went back into the streets. Now, what I didn't know at the particular time was I was really suffering from an identity crisis. What I didn't know at the time is that before I got into the physical incarceration, I had already been incarcerated internally. At the age of about 18, I remember going to a club and I went into the house to get something and I forgot. And I looked in the mirror coming out of the bathroom to get in the car and I caught my reflection. We've all had these moments. And I'm looking at myself, eyes bloodshot red, and I didn't even recognize the person that was looking back at me. See, the reality of this current mask that I was wearing was so intimidating, but taking it off was terrifying. So I kept it on. Go to prison, I get out, work in a warehouse job, and just like the movies, man, a homeboy pulled up in a black, brand new Mercedes Benz. And I said, damn, where did she get that from? You already know, man, these streets. So slowly but surely, right back into hustling. And this time I made more money, made more mistakes, and I found myself facing a 25-year prison sentence. My name is Seneca Kmir Alma, and I would like for you to go on a journey with me. Funk it up. Haha, just storytelling to a beat. All right, so I'm in this Tarrant County courtroom, right? I'm going to court. And if you've ever been to court, you know that you have to continuously see the judge until you get your turn. So I have been going to court month in and month out and month in and month out, waiting to get my time, but constantly being set off. Well, as I was going to court in Tarrant County, there was this young man and his mother going to court as well. And they would also get set off when I would get set off. So after about 6 months of this, the young man finally gets his time from the judge. He goes up with the mother. The judge gives him his pieces of paper. He goes to the secretary. She gives him the pieces of paper. And they begin to walk outside the courtroom. Now I'm sitting here in the back looking at this particular scenario because I myself can remember going to court with my mother in that same situation and thinking that if nothing changes. And see, everyone was just sticking to the script, checking the boxes, doing what they were supposed to do. But somebody has to do something different. And as I'm looking at this particular scenario, I'm saying somebody has to do something different. Somebody has to do something different, but perhaps, potentially, maybe, that person is me. So as that dawned on me, I'm sitting here with this particular reality, and then some anxiety starts to build up in my side. Now, if you know anything about going to court, you're not supposed to leave until you first see the judge. And I haven't seen the judge yet, so technically I'll be breaking the rules if I were to leave to say something to this young man without first talking to the judge. But again, am I just going to stick to the script? So as I'm thinking about this, more and more and more, this anxiety begins to build. And slowly it's building to a point of uncomfort. So finally, I can't stand it any longer. This anxiety pushes me out of my seat. And I actually go to the courtroom door, and I look to my left and I don't see anyone. I look to my right and I see the young man and the mother turning the corner going to the elevator room. At this point, I'm all the way in. I begin to make a mad dash down the hallway. People are looking at me, but at this point, I am not concerned what people may think. I am not concerned with obeying the technical rules because there is a bigger mission. This is a testament to you to say that there is something also inside of you that you may feel sometimes. Speak to it. So as I'm going down the hallway, I turn the corner, and just like the movie, the doors are beginning to close, and I reach in, and the doors open and bounce back with opportunity. I said that I faced my anxiety and fear, and I stepped outside of my comfort zone and did something different. I said I was no longer concerned about what people thought about me, and I faced this new reality, and I reached out, and the doors bounced back with opportunity. And as I'm sitting here looking at this mother and her young son, I said, excuse me, ma'am. I've been going to court for the past 6 months or so, watching you guys get set off, and I see that your son got 5 years probation. She said, yes. I said, if you don't mind, there's something I just want to tell him. She looked at me and she looked at him, then she looked at me and looked at him, and she said, go ahead, baby. I said, excuse me, check this out. I know you don't know me. I said, but you can only output what you input. And I said, if you want to speak a different way, if you want to move a different way, if you want to live a different way, you must begin to process a different way, read a different way, understand and comprehend a different way. The young man looked at me and looked at his mother. And I said, do you understand? He said, yeah. And the doors closed. And as I'm sitting here looking at this stainless steel glass, kind of murky, it was like I was looking at my past, my present, and my future all at the same time. And it was at that moment that I knew my life would never be the same. But I still got this case. The judge don't care nothing about that, right? So I continue to go to court for a few months, and I'm faced before the judge, and he gives me my 25 years. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that I was a criminal. I deserve to go to prison. I'm not a person that says that I'm innocent and I shouldn't have went. I deserve to go. But 25 years is hard. So he gave me my time, and this was my reality. And before I knew it, I found myself getting on a hot Texas prison bus. See, every choice that I decided to make, every choice that I chose not to make, led me right up those stairs on that prison bus, shackled from wrists to ankles. And as I get on the bus, a very interesting thing began to happen. I'm very sensitive to energy. And I see white men, black men, Hispanic men, Asian men, young and old. But there was this constant energy and vibe and aura for almost every single person. And the best way that I can explain it, I'm going to try to catch this beat, the best way I can explain it is pain, fear, anger, depression. Pain, fear, anger, aggression. Pain, fear, anger, depression. Pain, fear, anger, aggression. If you notice, the last words were depression and aggression, but the first three were the same. So I get on this bus and they give me something called a Johnny sack. A brown piece of paper, a bologna sandwich, hard-boiled egg, and raisins. This was my lunch. And it was here that I knew that it was real. So I'm sitting here trying to eat this sandwich, handcuffed on this bumpy bus that really wasn't that comfortable, next to a stranger that probably felt the same way as I. And as we're driving down these old Texas dirt roads, the kind you don't turn down when you're with your family, and it's dusty and it's hot, 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Texas heat, no AC. And as we get to this building, they shuffle us off. And we walk into this building and open the door, and it's all gray. Gray cement, gray cages. And as we step into this building, I see cages after cages after cages after cages. And they're filled with bodies after bodies after bodies after bodies. And without me knowing, this is where they begin to desensitize you. So I get into this particular cage, and there's a guard at the front with a pen and a tablet. And as you move to the next page like cattle, he simply asks you name and number. So I say, Wheels, 1568187. Then I go to another cage. I get to the front and the guard says, name and number. And I say, Wheels, 1568187. And this is repeated and repeated and repeated until it's driven into your head. Wheels, 1568187. And then there's a guard in front of the second to last cage, and without even recognizing, without even truly thinking about it, I get to the front and he doesn't even ask me for my information, and I simply say, Wheels, 1568187. But the worst part is that when they get you into the last cage, they strip you down naked. And you line up in this room with about 25 to 30 other men, vulnerable, exposed, scared. And the guards at the front began to say something I never heard in my entire life. The guards began to scream in unison, nuts the butts, nuts the butts, nuts the butts, nuts the butts, nuts the butts. And he's telling us to inch closer and closer and closer until I can feel the breath of the man behind me. And he simply goes down a run and he asks you name and number, and you say Wheels, 1568187. Desensitized, keep going, keep going. And the only way that I can explain it is that you feel like a slave going to the auction blocks. Cut. Hold up. I bet that y'all thought this was going to be one melodramatic story about mental and physical oppression. Y'all thought that I brought y'all out here for an hour and a half of your time to talk about violence, fights, rapes, lack of resources. Well, even though the Texas Department of Criminal Justice are all of those things, make no mistake about it, that is not who I am. My name is Seneca Kmir Alma, and that is a name that I gave myself. Kmir, K-M-I-R, keep me in remembrance. Keep me in remembrance of who I am despite my mistakes. Keep me in remembrance of who I am despite my setbacks and adversaries. Keep me in remembrance of who I am beyond even this finite world that we put so much stock into. See, because before I went to prison, I went on a run. Now, this is before the Tarrant County situation with the mother and the young son. This is before turning myself in. This is right after I caught my case and God and Source began to work on me in a way that I did not comprehend at the time. See, I went on a run to Austin, Texas. Caleb. Y'all give it up for Caleb real quick. I said I went on a run to Austin, Texas. And I knew that this time was going to be different. I knew the responsibility that was on my shoulders. So as I go to Austin, I had been drinking pretty heavily that day. And I get out the shower and I look myself in the mirror. And just like when I was 18 years old, many years prior, I didn't recognize my reflection. And as I'm sitting here looking at myself and all the pain and setbacks that I had caused, I passed out. Now, I'll be the first to tell you that though I was out there heavily in the nightlife, I don't pass out in bathrooms. But I passed out and hit back in my head on the floor, and I got up and I'm bleeding. On the run in Austin, Texas, the back of my head is bleeding. I'm sitting here looking at my reflection, and no matter how much money I had, no matter how much jewelry I may have acquired or cars I may have acquired, the reality of the situation is that this was the reality of my situation. On the run, bleeding. And this was the first time that my mask began to crack. And though it was uncomfortable, though it was lonely, see, our mascot is a butterfly. And a butterfly has to become unrecognizable to what it was before in order to transform. And this was my butterfly moment. So as I sat there looking at my cracked mask, I did the only thing I knew how to do, the only thing that brought me comfort and peace, and it was count my money. So I went into the master bedroom and I had a trash bag full of money, and I began to pull it out and I began to count it, because this is what I used to do to make me feel as if I was actually someone. This is what I used to do when I was struggling with my identity, and it brought me peace. It was my medication. But what do you do when your medication is no longer healing the heart? That's a lonely place. So I was faced with this particular reality, and I had a choice to either go on the run further or stay. They had arrested my girlfriend at the time, who had a young daughter. We later got married and we later got a divorce. But this particular moment was very difficult. Her daughter, many years later, and this is the first time I'm saying this publicly, actually took her own life when the mother went to prison. See, you see me up here speaking and standing today, but this comes from a deep, deep place. Far beyond anything that my verbal words can say, but hopefully the energy can be felt. So when I was given this opportunity to either go on a run or stay, I asked myself, are you capable of doing this? And the answer to that question was yes, I was. I had been groomed to do so. But the reality of that answer, in combination to my cracked mask in the mirror, caused me to see my ugliness and my selfishness in a way that I never could before. And I told myself, I do not want to be this person anymore. I got a lawyer, and I proceeded to turn myself in. And I drove back to Dallas on 35. Give it up for Caleb one more time. So as I'm driving back to Dallas, I was flipping through the radio stations. I had a show that was coming up at the Fair Park of Texas. When I was hustling, I was transitioning my money to something legal, and I started doing shows and completely forgotten about the show, but I was reminded of the show on this particular day, and I pulled over. And I sat on the hood of my car, and I looked up to the stars, and I said, I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how I want to do it, but I know I need to do something different. Transition. So we're going to take it back to some old Southern roots real quick. Now, I personally don't necessarily subscribe to any particular religion. I follow love. I am Christ-centered. I am Buddha grounded. Hinduism is wonderful. Very curious about quantum physics and Taoist. I've read them all. But we're going to go back here because this is just as much a part of my journey as anything else. And briefly go to church. So I get back to Dallas and I turn myself in. Then I bond out. And I called every juvenile prison facility I could get my hands on, and I said, hey, I want to come speak. Didn't have a clue of what I was doing, but I said, I want to come and speak. And one lady called me back, Rochelle Alexander of the Dallas Urban League, and she said, I'm going to give you a chance. Next Tuesday, I'm going to have about 30 people coming fresh out of prison, and I want you to talk to them. And I went into that room, and I put a chair, and I started talking to those men and women as if I was talking to you right now, and I found out that I was kind of good at it. And I felt something that I had never felt before, and it was purpose. Way more profitable than money. So I started speaking, and I was out on bond for 2 years speaking and doing different things in the community, and I started to see that I was worth something more, and it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. So at the time of doing that, I continued to go to court, and I meet the mother and I meet the son in Tarrant County, and I get my time of 25 years. But when I got my time of 25 years, best believe I stepped in there with a made-up mind. Rock me out. I said that I went through the butterfly effect. I said that my head was bleeding and I was crying and I was at my lowest. And I said that I stepped into my prison with a made-up mind. Yeah. And I promised myself that I was going to make that institution my college. Yeah. I made a promise to myself I was going to make that environment my laboratory. And I applied myself each and every day. Before I even bought food, I bought a typewriter that I still have, and her name is Betsy. It's in my closet. And I wrote, I worked out, I did workshops and boot camps, and I meditated. I was the guy in the field when no one else was with me doing yoga, grounding myself, the outcast and the weirdo, and slowly but surely there was 1s and 2s out there with me, and 4s and 5s and 6s and 7s, and it was a very, very beautiful thing. That's what a made-up mind can do for you. See, even with no resources, even with no opportunity in Texas Department of Criminal Justice, I used that place and I made it my vehicle. Let that be a testament to you. The very interesting thing about that place was that I found freedom. I found freedom during a physical incarceration. But my most proud moment came in the form of the boot camp. Cut. All right, so I love fitness, right? And I would work out by myself, and then this guy wanted to work out with me. So I started working out with a couple of dudes here and there, and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. And one day I looked up and I created this boot camp. I had like 25 dudes on the rec yard, right? From all races, all backgrounds, all ages. And I would do this cadence. And we would all move in unison. And I would say teamwork, teamwork. Start together, finish together. And we would motivate each other. We would push each other. We would champion one another. And then we would move in unison again, and I would say commitment. One man fall, we all pick him up, And it was beautiful. And I would get to the very end, all moving in unison. No division, no fights, no anger, peace. And I would get them all lined up, and I would say, when pain is embraced, fear is conquered. For nothing is easy to the unwilling, and the only defeat is to not try at all. And in unison, we would say, mind, over, matter. All right now. So as we conclude, get closer to the end, this was the beautiful thing about it. I would come back from the rec yard and I would hear whispers. This is a show, but this is also hopefully a teaching opportunity for each and every individual through your own personal prisons. I said I would come back from the rec yard and I would hear whispers. Man, Seneca ain't finna be no fitness instructor when he go home. They would say, Seneca not finna be doing any workshops and boot camps and talking to the youth when he go home. They would say, Seneca not finna be doing any yoga and meditation and grounding himself when he go home. Let me tell you something. 3 years, I'm a personal trainer. I said 3 years, I have an LLC and a nonprofit. I don't say this boastfully, I say this humbly. I have an LLC and a nonprofit and I'm still chopping up with the youth. 3 years of being home. 3 years of being home. I still wake up. I still wake up and do my yoga, do my meditation, sit for service. I come to you not as something to do, but a person to become. And this all comes back. I said it all comes back full circle. You gotta feel it in here before it can be manifested out there. So, just like when I was speaking to that young man in the elevator with his mother, I say the same thing today. This is not something to do. This is someone to become. And you can only output what you input. And if you want to speak a different way, if you want to move a different way, if you want to be a different way, you must read, consume, and listen a different way.
Do something different.
Manifest your dreams. When the mind is made up and the heart is in sync, you have something called conviction. And the person who is speaking to you right now is actually even a different person than from last year, because there's something that I've been able to pick up on, and there's a word I'm going to share with you. There's a difference. I've always had talent, I've always had an ability, I can always lead, but there's a difference when alignment come into place. And that one word is that when you begin to find your calling, you speak a different way. You move a different way. You're no longer as concerned about what people may think and say about you. It oozes out of your pores. It's not a thing to do. You embrace it. I encourage you, I challenge you, I inspire you all to simply get into alignment and get in connection with your higher purpose and calling. My name is Seneca Kmir Alma. And we thank you for this wonderful opportunity. We're going to have the very talented and gifted Monty G close us out with a very beautiful song. I thank you.
you.